So today is the 27th of March 2020. It's Friday. Every time I make a video, I feel like I've got 1,000 things swimming around in my head and I don't know where to start. I've been trying to do some meditating, calming myself down, because it's like there's just so much kind of information floating around everywhere, and what's going on within me as well. I've just come into some nature spot. I'm in the car and I've just finished some gardening work for some customers, and I just feel like I need some time out for myself, and I think a lot of us probably do, and we're getting that time out. And I mean, I've got so much conflicting information, like I say, coming from the media, coming from my friends, coming from YouTube, so many different trains of thought of what's really happening in the world. What's this crisis? What's going on? 5G, a real pandemic, but they're fooling us. More people die of the flu or starvation or famine, other diseases, and then there's the whole kind of like aliens created the virus and they're trying to kill us. It was a biochemical weapon that was designed by the Chinese to kill the Americans. I mean, there's just so much going on out there. And of course there's this other one of like the government are locking us down because while we're hiding away in our houses or afraid, martial law is going to step in, and we're going to create a one world government and get rid of cash and eliminate that. And it's like, so yeah, whatever it is, and it could be everything, it could be all of those things, it could be none of those things. It could be that the virus is really a pandemic and it's real. And it's been created because why? Because we are overstretching ourselves into the environment, into the natural world, into the animal kingdom, and we've completely polluted this planet. It could be that. You know what I mean? It could be because, hey, mutated viruses are going to happen if we interfere with nature. Gaia, the energy of the earth, is going to go, sorry, but no. I've had enough of this crap. That seems to be, from the very start of this whole thing, my complete intuition. And I think it's really important to look at intuition, to look at what do you really think is real? And forget about all the other stuff. I've stopped trying to watch. I've stopped trying? No. I'm not watching the media. I'm literally just clicking on links that people send me, reading it with a real skeptical head, or watching it, with my ultra cynical mind. But I feel like, am I being ultra cynical? Yeah. Because I'm very open-minded to what's real and what's possible, but I will shut down immediately if something is just not plausible and doesn't have any weight behind it. And, if something's just like, I think this and I think that, and scientists have been saying this and so-and-so's been saying that. Yeah, okay. Where's the evidence? Where's this? It's just like, there's just not enough weight behind it. And I personally don't think that the whole world would fake something that's not really happening. Why would they spend their time and energy in putting together hospitals and doctors and nurses? Why would the NHS staff be freaking out? Why would any medical people be freaking out? And, I work for a doctor who's a surgeon, and he's ear, nose and throat, and he's my gardening client. He's told me to not come to his house. I personally don't believe that, these people are in on it. The people I know personally who I work for, they're very integral people. They're authentic. They're not going to get involved with some shoddy kind of like, covert kind of crap. Even if, the government say you got to do this and that. It's not going to happen. These people are genuine. They care for the people. That doctor happens to be married to a woman who's incredibly spiritualist, and she's a very powerful person. She runs a company herself. And you know, they both know that this is real and it's dangerous. And I guess what I'm trying to say in throughout all of this, I mean, I wanted to say other things as well. Like I said, I've got always other things I want to talk about, but is that I think you're really going to have to look down into your own instinctual gut feelings about what this really is. If you don't think it's real and you think it's like a lockdown for no reason and there's no real disease, then just go outside. Just go and do whatever you want and challenge the police and see what's really happening. Walk into the hospitals. Just go and check it out. You know, like, because if anyone is going to think it's something covert and strange and, you know, New World Order or something, which it could be, you know, it could be that there's some kind of crazy New World Order going on, and that may be true. They're going to do what they're going to do anyway. But if we then feel powerless and paranoid, how the hell is that going to help us, you know, as individuals? It's not, you know. I actually don't really believe... I do believe that the world, the way it is, yeah, politically and economically, they do want power. They do want more money. There's always going to be a lot of greed. You know, America's showing that and displaying that, for sure. But I think that if they really wanted to wipe out the entire planet, or they didn't care about us, or they want to bring in one world money, they would just fucking do it. They would just do it anyway. They're not going to make out this kind of like weird shit that's going on. They're just going to go, do you know what? We've decided that the pound and the dollar and, you know, all the rubles and the yen and all that, it's not worth doing anymore. So we're just going to change it all. And we're going to just say, this is called I don't know, it's called the Franca or something, you know, I don't know, the Franco, the Hitler. It's going to be called something, and it's going to have the same thing on it, and they just do it. I mean, like, look at Brexit. If we were moving towards one world government, why the hell has England wanted to get out of Europe? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, none of that's holding any weight. Actually, if anything, I think the world governments are becoming more dictatorial and territorial and wanting their own thing. Everyone's becoming more sovereign, if anything. You know, like Russia, you know, he's like, I'm going to run Russia how I want to. F everyone else in the world. I mean, that's literally his message. Korea, you know, I don't really know what influence China has on such a global level, but they certainly are communists, and they'll certainly do what the hell they want. They're not going to go in for any one world thing. Neither is India. I lived in India for 3.5 years, 4 years almost. I know that India is not a place or a country that ever wants to be ruled by somebody else or become a part of a one world government. If we're talking one world government, we're talking about just literally Europe, England, and America. And hey, we're meant to be getting out of Europe, so I don't think so. America is kind of, I feel like, a continent on its own now, especially with the way that Trump's behaving. He's not going to get any support from the East, from China or Russia. I think they look at him and think he's a complete babbling idiot, apart from the Korean guy. But hey, you know, I don't want to get too political. Yeah, I shouldn't say too much. But Australia, again, you know, they're out there. They have their very green views. They're very forward thinking. I actually don't see that any of the large nations of the world really want to combine and make a one world unity. I actually don't see that at all. So one world money and one world government, we're way, way, way away from that happening, actually. So if anyone's got an agenda, possibly, you know, and this agenda had been set by the UN, they're certainly not following it right now. Because everyone seems to be out for themselves. And so what I wanted to say today, particularly, was in my, you know, enlightened state when I'm in nature and gardening, when the fairies talk to me, which they do sometimes, is the world is changing at such a rapid rate, and, you know, all the planetary alignments, and I do astrology and da-da-da. We actually all independently have to take responsibility. Number one, stop blaming other people. Stop blaming governments or this or that. Take total and utter responsibility for our own lives. You know, from what happens from this point onwards, is up to us. If we want to get off grid, if we want to take care of ourselves, if we need money, if we need food, if we need health services, we need to take care of ourselves. And I think for the last 20 years, because I got such channeled messages from source, from when I was young, from when I was like 19, 20, back in like the 90s, early 90s, I knew this was going to come. I knew that I had to prepare. I started learning about herbal medicine and survival and foraging and living off the earth and living in like, temporary shelters or like benders and teepees and yurts and, having to make a fire, collect water, all this kind of stuff, is valuable tools. And, I think people just think that's a really fun hobby. Oh, Fiona's so cute, she likes all those things. Well, whatever. I liked all those things because I felt they were necessary. I felt that I needed to know those things, and I still don't feel like I know enough. I don't know enough about tracking, hunting, real survival skills like fighting, martial arts. I feel like I've really missed out on that whole level of things that's really important. It's going to be really important. Especially in the new world. And that's the kind of download I'm getting recently is everyone be able to self-defend. Everybody be self-sufficient. It's all about self in a way. I mean, it sounds quite self-centered and selfish, but I think it's more about self-responsibility, and if we have chosen to be sovereign beings more and more, our existence in the last 7 years since 2012 has been about, excelling ourselves and extending ourselves to that sovereign being state, right? Well, this is what it means to be sovereign, and so I think the first responsibility for me at the moment is health. It's like eating the right food and making sure you've got the right kind of herbal medicines. Make sure you're growing those things. Make sure you've got them in supply. Make sure you know how to make that stuff. So particularly from 2010 up until now, I've really been learning about that and how to make stuff from nature. And luckily, with skincare balms and even tinctures and making concoctions from herbs is really, really vital. So the key one here for this virus is oregano oil. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about vitamin C and zinc. Herbs bring down a fever. Feverfew. Feverfew looks a lot like chamomile. Chamomile is also good for that. If you have any chest or bronchial problem, then thyme that is in our gardens, like thyme, oregano, and feverfew doesn't always grow, but it grows as a weed everywhere. But oregano and thyme and rosemary are things that are culinary herbs that grow in most people's gardens, and they're actually all antibacterial, antiviral, antiseptics. So you can clean with rosemary as a normal antiseptic. An antiviral like oregano can be made into a drink, a concoction. So you get the herb and you boil it for like 10-15 minutes and you sip it throughout the day. And the same with thyme to reduce the cough. Vitamin C, you've got rose hips, elderberry, blackthorn, blackberries. The berries are really, really high in vitamin C. The green vegetables like Swiss chard, nettles, dandelion leaves, they're really high in vitamin C as well, and the right kind of minerals that you need to fight infection. So, it's also possible that the people that are dying and just really can't deal with it because their immune systems are screwed. Green powders that superfoods like spirulina and moringa powder and chlorella and all of those, they're great for our immune system. Obviously, we need a certain amount of fats. So healthy saturated fats like nuts and seeds that are soaked and mixed with salt, because if you don't, they can't bind to the cells in your body to be broken down. And avocados, so really healthy fats, and like flaxseed oil and linseed, the same thing. So it's just like knowing about health. And I think, I've been lucky enough that I've had the guidance from source, from the spiritual universal masters, or whatever you want to call them. I call it the Great Overhead Divine. They've been giving me these messages for like 25 years that I need to learn about these things. I need to know about these things to help others or to help myself. And I've really laxed. I've really in the last 5 years, I've let myself down. I've let myself down physically because I haven't kept my strength. I've been actually ill myself. I haven't taken care of what I've been eating, and I had a gallbladder removal, so I've kind of fucked myself up. But basically, I'm really getting back on track with my health. I'm making sure that my physical fitness level's going back up. I'm reducing things that I know are bad for me. Obviously, sugar, caffeine, alcohol, the obvious ones, right? Smoking, yeah, we know. And we know what we need to increase, and we need to just carry on. And it's also like fresh air, being in nature, it's all the kind of positive things that we know we need. And we just need to continue doing them. So, I don't know what else I really want to say. I think we're just more on a practical level of all of that. And also the changes are coming. Yeah, the times are changing, but the only way to deal with it is to listen to self-intuitive feelings, and I think so much of us are getting caught up in this hype, whatever you think it is, or it may be real, it may not be real, but maybe just switch it all off and listen to what is guiding you. If something guides you to becoming more self-sufficient, why is that a bad thing anyway? It may not guide you to that. It may guide you to something else. But I think it's like believing too much of the hype from any direction, from even me. Like, why should you believe me? Don't believe me. Don't believe some other guy on YouTube either. Just because he says, hey, I've researched this thing and I think it's okay. It's okay for everybody to step outside, Oh, and 5G is going to kill us because, hey, look, the birds are dying. And the deers and the foxes, except they're not. So we're all carbon-based life forms. If 5G is going to kill carbon-based life forms, it's going to kill animals. It's going to kill our pets. I'm serious. What's going on? Let's really think about what's going on, please. I feel recharged at the moment by what's happening. I think that the fact that we're getting a shutdown, lockdown, is changing the world and the environment. The environment and the ecosystems are breathing again. The birds are singing because they're so happy about the fact that there's nobody driving, very much anymore. People aren't going to work. The vibrational reality is changed. People are not rushing about like headless chickens. And it's so refreshing. And I feel like there's this massive space now to properly breathe, actually, and really feel different. I don't really understand what's really, really happening in the hospitals because I don't know. I said that for a long time, in the very beginning when the figures kept coming out of China and Italy and da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, we're just being believed. We're believing what we're being told. We're believing that these figures are real because that's what we're being told. I've seen a lot of images, though, and I've heard a lot of first-hand stories from people I know in Italy and Spain. So I do know that some of those numbers, they are real because people are witnessing it. So you can't fake somebody's death. And these families are being affected by people dying. So it really is real. And We'll get it eventually in the UK. I mean, we're early days yet, and I know that by Easter, by 14th, 15th of April, we're going to wish that we believed the government. We're going to wish that we listened more. Yeah. Okay, bye, peoples. Bye. That's enough from me today. Bye.